Yo, everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, both books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing Rhinegold by Stephan Grundy. Now, I've got two copies here. I bought this one earlier, and then I saw on eBay someone had a mint condition hardcover for sale for like $4, and I'm like, well, I'll get that. So, I think I paid $3 for this, $4 for this, $7 for the pair. That's a good deal. I should have, I should have bought them when it first came out in 1994. That way the author himself could have got a royalty out of me, but I didn't. I bought these off of eBay used. It happens sometimes. Not often, but once in a while. Okay, like I said, this came out in 1994. This is a weird book. And I don't know if I can recommend it to people. But I did like it, and I'm going to explain what I'm talking about here in a minute. But let's talk about the covers first. So the cover of the hardcover and the cover of the mass market paperback are pretty much identical. So that's cool. But let's talk about this magnificent painting that drew me to this is a John Jude Palencar illustration. And John Jude Palencar's done a lot of illustrations. He did all the Kushiel's Dart books. He did the Christopher Paolini Aragon books. He's done a ton of really high-profile stuff. He's done a lot of horror novels, Charles DeLint novels, he's done a lot of King Arthur stuff. I can just keep naming him. I'm just thinking of all the books in my collection that have his paintings, and there's a lot. But it's just a gorgeous book all the way around. It's got the back there with the wolf, and it wraps around to the front with these two characters on the horse. It's just a dynamite-looking book all the way around, which is why I wanted to get it and why I'll probably keep it, even though it's bizarre. This has a really unconventional story structure to it, which is going to be off-putting to 99.9% of the people that read it. And I was a little off-putting to me too. However, it was so gorgeously written and so atmospheric that I just kept going and going until the story really started. So it's about 900 pages. Well, the first 200 pages are epic, just epic in the way that the Silmarillion is epic to the Lord of the Rings. So the first couple hundred pages of this really reads like the Silmarillion. It's just sort of a bird's eye view of the North, Germany, and the Norse lands. It's an epic, kind of like it's less a novel and more epic, fantastical reciting of Norse myth and history. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. It takes ideas from the Norse Volsunga. I don't know how to pronounce it. The Volsunga saga, the Norse Volsunga saga, and the Ring of Nebulung. The Ring of Nebulung, I can't know how to... But the Rings of Nebulun and Edis, which basically is the Wagnerian ring cycle. Man, I don't even know if I'm doing this any justice at all. It's sort of a Silmarillion-esque take on all of that. The history of Wotan, or Woden, the mythos of Loki and Sigurd, as we say in Utah, because there's a town in Utah called Sigurd. So it's just got all of these, plus a pretty detailed lineage and genealogy of the two clans that descended from Woden, and the Saxon clan and the Germanic clan, and the legends that arose out of all of that I just mentioned. All of that. That's the first 200 pages. And then we start to get into these legends of the gold that is believed to hide underneath the Rhine River. Now, I've been along the Rhine River, and it is at certain times of day, the sun gleams off of that river, and it does look gold. It's magnificent because you've got these great gleaming castles along the Rhine River. Between Cologne and Frankfurt, there's got to be a dozen castles along the Rhine River, and they're just one after the next, and you can sit there, and anywhere on the river that you stand, you can see 2 or 3 of them. Up in the trees, up on the hills. It's just beautiful. And you can see these gleaming castles, the lush, beautiful forests of green, and then this gold, shimmering gold river that winds through it. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world if you've been there. And so, of course, this Wagnerian ring cycle sort of revolves around the gold hidden within the river, along with a dragon that needs to be killed. And that's just the way it is. It's the way it is. So the first 200 pages, it's just a slog to get through. Much as the way the Silmarillion was a bit of a slog to get through, because you're not really invested a lot in too many of the characters, because we're just getting this overall bird's eye view of this fantasy land that's being created, and it's almost scriptural in tone, like the Silmarillion was like the Lord of the Rings scripture, I guess, if that makes sense. If you've ever read the King James version of the Bible and then read Silmarillion, yeah, the similarities just in the way the language and things are set up. Anyway, I digress. That's what from about page 200 to about page 900, so the other 700 pages are actually a pretty good story about, and a very reminiscent to a lot of what Bernard Cornwell does in his Saxon tales. Very, very steeped in Viking lore, the northern countries, where the Vikings come from, and then sort of the Germanic people and how those people interacted. And it's got some great characters like Sigifrith and the dragon Faramir that he has to go slay. And it's just a great story from there on out. Very detailed, very just if you got to get through the first 200 pages till you get to the real tale. And it is about the mythos of that era, and the Loki and Woden and the Wagnerian ring cycle, and it's got dragon and Vikings and trollcraft, blood oaths galore, and the proud Vikings and their ships that they build, and the big mead halls, the Germanic mead halls, and how those things came about. And then werewolves are in there, and Valkyries. It even includes the birth of Attila the Hun. There's a lot of stuff in here. A lot of stuff packed into this. It's just one of the weirdest 200-page info dump prologues that I have ever sat through and read. Mostly if we get these info dump prologues, they're maybe 10 pages, and that can be tiring. 200 pages, folks. 200 pages. But like I said, it's kind of cool. It's written very beautifully, and the cover is magnificent. So I've got to give this about a 6.5 out of 10. It's better than average. It's a book that I want to keep in my collection, because I think in about 12 years, if I reread this, it's going to be one of those books I'm going to be like, God, this is the greatest thing ever. That's happened to me before with Dune, The Name of the Wind, a few of the books that just seemed very difficult for me to get through the first time. When I set them on the shelf and let them breathe a bit, then I came back to them 10 years later and read them, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is one of the most amazing things ever. I have a feeling this is going to be one of those. I really do. So for now, let's do 6.5 out of 10. I found it to be better than average, good enough that I'm going to keep it around on my shelves and my collection, just because it's fucking gorgeous. And it's just, it's good. It's interesting. It's different. It's super different than anything you will ever read. And so, if I said anything in here that interested you, go ahead and pick it up. It's out of print. You're only going to find it on eBay now. But it's definitely worth having in your library just for how beautiful it is.